Magandang hapon po sa ating lahat at malugod na pagbati mula sa Future Earth Philippines. Welcome po sa ika-100 episode ng The Filipino SDG Action Hour at muli nyo kaming samahan sa isa't kalahating oras ng exciting at makabuluhang talakayan tungkol sa mga paksa na napapanahon at tiyak na kapupulutan ng aral at karunungan. At sa hapon na ito, pag-uusapan natin ang topic na Guagua Geographic Information System, Maximizing Technology for Better Public Service. Sa tulong po ng ating panauhin sa hapon na ito, malalaman natin ang kahalagahan na magkaroon ng kaalaman sa paggamit ng GIS. Kasama po ang environmental planning, hindi lamang sa comprehensive land use planning kundi maging sa disaster risk reduction, land tax management, at sa decision-making for project implementations. Sa hapon pong ito, ang ating panuhin po ay isang Certified Environmental Planner. Siya po ay nakapagtapos ng Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering at meron din po siyang Master's degree in Public Administration. At alam niyo po ba, noong pong taong 2018, siya po ay naging isang Certified Environmental Planner by the Philippine Regulatory Commission. At bilang pagkilala po sa kanyang husay at ambag, siya po ay tinanghal na first placer sa Best in LGU Empowerment Award noong 2020. So sa ngayon pong hapon, let's all welcome ang Municipal Planner Officer po ng Guagua, Pampanga, Miss Elsa Pantino.
Magandang hapon po sa ating lahat.
Good afternoon. I'd like to start my discussion on our project, Guagua Geographic Information System. I'm your presenter for today, Elsa Perez Pantino, licensed ENP, Environmental Planner, and currently the Planning Officer of LGU Guagua. Next slide. So we have the key functions in Geographic Information System in our locality to assist in disaster management and in administration of the tax program like the land valuation, land use, and improvements, including the disputes on boundaries. So I'd like to elaborate on disaster management. We started this project right after the Mount Pinatubo eruption, and at that time, we required a map that could delineate us from the river channels and to the other towns also. So at that time, we don't have any map except for the we have at the office. So we coordinated actually in Namria to get a map that we could choose, particularly in this project. So secondly, the administration of tax program. The DAX program is very important, particularly in identification of land valuation, which is one of the bloodline or meaning the importance of collection. So that's why we embark on this project. Next slide. So I'd like to provide a little profile of Guagua. It is located in the southwest portion of Pampanga province, lower portion, and we are situated along the Pasig Potrero River Control System, one of the main river channels of Mount Pinatubo, and along the area wherein we are alongside the Har flow during that time. And it is also the commercial center in the second district of Pampanga. It is only about 77 kilometers away from the north of Manila. Likewise, we have a very short area. We have around 4,857 hectares and predominantly devoted to agriculture and several light industries, retail trade industries, and banking institutions. So that's it about Guagua, a very small area but dense. And then these are the maps that produce also when we are using the GIS. Uh, the Guagua location is around here. It's the yellow spotted area. Within this is the area of the central Luzon. So as you can see, we are at the near the mouth of the river. So, Guagua came from the word Alua, meaning mouth of the river, because Guagua is located in the southwest portion of Pampanga province. So Previously, we are connected with the town of Sasmuan. So Sasmuan is the grayish color, which is near the mouth of the river of the Pampanga River. And then in a small area, uh, the red one is alongside with a lot of river channels that uh, flow out to the Pampanga River. In a bigger version of the map, this map is already enhanced or extracted from our GIS from the Office of the Municipal Planning. The yellow one is the main river or the main area for built-up area. The red colored are the river or the road network, and the green one are mostly the river channels. So at the bottom of the map itself is our brackish water or the fish pond area, and on the upper side are mostly devoted to agriculture. The densely area or the for the red dots or the red lines are the business area, and it we have a area or about 4 kilometers located along the Jasa or the Osiabad Santos, and it goes from passes the area from Bataan area province and to along the area towards San Fernando, city of San Fernando. So I'd like to continue Guagua GIS development long before in 1997. We started this project with the assistance of the Australian Agency for Development, AusAid, through the private sector linkages program. And the agency or the private entity that help us is called the company Pilislan Information System through the linkages to Mimaka Party Limited in their technology and cadastral data captured. I like to elaborate on this. During that time, we started, or we already have a data on the lot data computation encoded. So this company is looking for an LGU that that they could choose as a sample that the system itself can work in a local government in the Philippines. So that's why they embark on the project to give us a information how to use the geographic information system and how it can be developed in the locality. So Guagua GIS, what are the objective that emphasize us to continue on this one? To systematize and provide a complete and accurate spatial data is essential for any municipal GIS. At that time, what we are doing is just provide a spatial data, get information that the data captured form and put it in the system. But at that time, we haven't yet have a clear knowledge on how to use it and how to develop it in our locality. We have already acquired a the cadastral data from the concerned agency, particularly in the provincial and national, and including the regional level, in coordination, of course, with the DNR, LMB, and the Registry of Deeds in acquiring the lot data computation. So we are probably the first LGU to acquire this, and we have a digital form on this data that we are still using until this time. And the third one is to fill up the database, which led to effective administration and assess management. In all uh, data management, you have to have a good data input in any program, so that as you mentioned, or as we know, that any trash in, trash out. So you have to be very careful in putting the data itself, and has to be clean and edited before putting it in the system itself. So the version of GIS that we use initially is called Map Info. It's a lower version at that time, 4.5, but still it's a data that, or a system that uh, easily can put in a form that can be used to other matters or other planning. So this project was initiated or it was done in Ursus Australia, Party Limited in Brisbane, Australia, which two of our personnel, I myself and other personnel, went there for 2 weeks to undergo the training in Mafinpo. And after the training itself, came back and we tutored other staff. As of now, this project's also being used by our municipal engineer, particularly in uh, presentation or how to make a vicinity map using the file itself, our Mafinfo file, and the office of the assessor in location of other tax management and PIN number in a tax map. So particularly also our disaster management office is uses this plan or this project in the preparation of our various um, disaster map. So next, on the development, uh, Guagua was developed through the encoded lot data computation. We initiated encoding the 6,000 lot data in Quattro Pro at that time. So the equivalent of Quattro Pro now is the Excel form. So you have to encode the coordinates, northing, easting, in every parcellary that we have at that time. So you have to have a written or the data that we have gathered came from the Bureau of Land, what they call this Land Management Bureau in our regional offices. And also the National Mapping and Resource Agency, NAMRIA, where we got in the acquisition of the digital topographic map. And until now, their maps are being used by overlaying under our parcellary map and then identification of areas that are used for disaster also. And as I've said before, Office of the Land Management Bureau, where we acquired the subdivision plan. And until now, uh, we are still getting subdivision plans because, as we all know, land is alive and there are lots of residents or our landowners who subdivide their lots, and those subdivided lots are are being collected at the office of the assessor, and we have coordination with the municipal assessor to provide us that hard copy subdivision plan for us to be encoded in the development of our database. And also the registry of deeds wherein the copies of the titles are there, and then we use that in identification of the owners and checking the area if it matches the subdivision plans gotten from the Bureau of Lands. Okay, so what are the applications that we are doing at the moment? Guagua has more than 18,000 parcels from our 4,857 hectares and still growing. As we all know, all lots are being subdivided, particularly those areas along the road network that are being considered now as built-up area, and they are subdivided into a small parcels to be used mostly on commercial institutional. So on our tax information, every parcels, you can determine the exact figure should be the same as in their subdivision plan. So you can easily see if there are missing lots or information that are they have wrong erroneous information and other information that it could be related to land management. So during the presentation of this presentation, we all know that it increases every day that the parcels itself. So you have to be on hand, which are new, which are old, and which are overlap. So this is a good way to identifying those parcels. This is a sample of the Parcellary map of Guagua. This is on your left is the actual um, figure of Guagua. Those densely black area are those lands that are along the road network. Considering they are smallest in size, so the parcel are quite dense. The lower portion are our the big chunk of land are we consider the brackish water, and this area in the middle are supposedly um, combined with agricultural and residential, and on the upper area is also considered an agriculture area. As you can see, those like this one, this area is a subdivision wherein there are small parcel of land devoted for residential. So as you can see, this is the actual view. And on a closer look, um, this area is the area of the church that we call Immaculate Conception. And this land, the 4884, this number identifies the lot number. So whenever we check on a certain land, we uses the lot data as an identification number. The 4884 is our institutional area, the municipal building and the health center. That includes also our disaster management office. The 4826 is the location of our park. So this area here is the area of the river channels. So this figure should be similar to the actual subdivision plan. So you can easily check it if more or less the shape is the same. So, and any dispute that we do or being handled by us should be based on the data itself. So we just provide the information based on the maps and the data that we have gathered from the Bureau of Lands or the Registry of Deeds. And then we use that as basis in any dispute. If that could not be handled with the maps that we have, it will be mostly it will be handled in court, but mostly the project itself is used as basis and you can visualize it easily. At the same time, you can easily provide decisions because you have a visual information on the matter. Next, we have the geographic information system being used in our comprehensive land use plan. And we all know that land use requires mapping. So we have this CLUP updated in effect from 2016 to 2025. And we made our own map using the GIS. And what we did is in printing out, mostly we just go to the printing area located in the city of San Fernando, so that they could print it out in a bigger paper. Or if mostly we have a map that is printed in a 4 by 8 size, so we just match it to the printer of the agency or the printing services. So we were able to create a digital spatial map in the formulation of various CLUP map, which makes it easy for us to understand. And we don't need consultants or architects to do that. As long as you have a basic knowledge and then trained in the locality, it's much easier for us. The classification plan just makes it easier and convenient. Why? You could easily check if the area is agriculture in nature, institutional, commercial, or it's located in a light industry area. Cost effective in the preparation of the map. No need to hire consultant. So basically, um, it easier for us because the data is within ourselves in the agency itself in our office, and you have to do is match it if you want to print it out in a several kinds of map in every sizes that you want. So actually, this project or this map are the previous one that we have on the CLUP in the preparation of our land management map in disaster. Uh, this map is used as a special, meaning basically it makes it easier for us to do it. No need for additional funding, except of course the printing and some data captured information that we need, wherein we get it from our other agencies. Next, this is the sample of CLUMI maps. Uh, the first one here is the approved general land use map. The green one basically is identifies the agriculture area. The yellow one is a built-up area wherein our residential, commercial, and institutional are located. As I mentioned before, the light blue color are the fishman brackish water. So it's easier to change the color accordingly as per the guidelines in CLUP. And this one on the upper right is our approved land use urban area, wherein this area is what we call the Jose Abad Santos area, one of the national road, and the red one is considered as our area of development. So this actually is an old map, and this was already approved and being monitored other developments. Okay, so in the central business district, this area is combined of red, yellow, and green, which is mostly the red is the institutional area or the commercial area. The yellow is the residential, and the green is agricultural, and blue is the institutional area. This color was used during the previous preparation of CLU mini maps, but right now in the preparation we are now using different colors requirement. And another sample map is this one. So the existing land use is this one. So you can use varying classes or varying maps according to one's use. And this kinds of map is the location of the four political areas that we have. The Pangulo area, we call them. We have the other barangays considered in that area, the Lotion area, the Poblacion area, and the Betis area. So basically, this in describing the locations can be easier to identify which are located to one another. This one is the new map that we prepared during the preparation of our 2016-2025. As you can see, the colors requirement in the legend are quite different. So mostly the increased volume are mostly along the area of the main road, and some other areas in the central business district. But basically, our agriculture area didn't change drastically, because one thing that easier for us is to identify whenever there are requests for change of land use and the risk classification, we could identify it easily because of this project. The classification, the existing one, and being monitored by the assessor if there are movements or improvements on a certain land. So you can easily check on it because of this project. The multi-hazard map. This is a requirement not only in the CLUP but in the climate change adaptation plan that being used. Also, it's much easier to overlay it using the maps coming from the OCD and coming from NAMRIA. So if you have shape maps, it can be overlay with their maps and then identify it if it's included in the multi-hazard, if it's high susceptibility or moderate susceptibility. Basically, Guagua has three major hazards. One is the volcanic eruption, because we are within the 40-kilometer radius, and by that you can easily check with the map itself, if you have a data map that like this one, at what coverage you are in. And then we have the liquefaction. Basically, Guagua is quite low, and then because of the map, you can easily locate where are the danger area and what classification of land there is in that area. and also it's a flood-prone area. Being near or along the mouth of the river, the project can identify which area is susceptible to flooding. Another one, a multi-hazard one, almost the same, with the different classification. And the use of Guagua or Guagua GIS as a tool in disaster management. Yes, it is easily used as a support decision in risk management process. You could identify which location are in danger, which are location are hazards, and which location are basically needed, not for residential. So it you can easily visually use it in that aspect. And secondly, it provide information and address a specific aspect, particularly during the time of lahar and flooding problem. You can easily detect where it passes or where the direction is. And then in particularly these projects, during that time, we conduct information dissemination in barangays. So this project itself is being visualized by people itself, and using this item as and explaining to them in layman's term. And also, another GIS hazard maps, the flooding damages, where are they located? You could put where are the damage area in this project. The damaged brackish fish ponds in 2006, these were easily identified. And then which area are affected in the build-up area, agriculture. So if the certain farmer identify his location, particularly the lot number, we can easily detect where is that in the whole map. So on this map, the flood hazard map again, this is the location of the project wherein there is a slight flooding in that area, which are severely flooded. I use a map that is an old one because of the project that we have in JICA. The project itself minimize the flooding, and during that time, it's the consultant have an easier time in identification which are the danger because of this GIS map. It can also use in traffic management. So we have this the upgraded concreting approach. You could identify it where it is located. Since this uh, maps is quite small, but you could enlarge it. But for presentation purposes, you can visualize it easily. Where are the location of the road network that has been upgraded, and what will be the effect, particularly in traffic situation. And we have the rerouting also. It's being used quite easily. You can navigate it on your own use. And also if there are location of rerouting, road closure because of constructions and other activities, you can use this one and in real time. And it's much easier for you to present it with the real scale map. And another one are the route security plan. Mostly these are map are used whenever there are political personnels or that visited our town. So in the preparation, you don't need to ask an engineer to do that. All you need is your staff, the trained staff, to do it. And then in real time, in an hour or two, you can finish it. So there's no need to get um, trainings from other agency, but on your own. These are the projects are being used at the moment. I myself in the office, particularly in identifying and locations, and it's much easier if you can overlay it in the Google Map. Okay, so this project, one project is the identification of areas for development. This is along our fish pond area. We have some abandoned areas or lands that are to be used for development. This area is for our MRF. Our mayor would like to develop this one as an area for the MRF, including our what do you call this one? This motor pool. These areas can be identified easily using this map. And as you can see, the light lines, the white lines are the road network that came from our map info. And then you can easily overlay it and match it in the Google Map. And this area is for the development of an agriculture area. So more or less, you could identify easily which are usable or not. So these are used mostly for making proposals, tying it up in the locations. Our present situation at the moment, GIS unit is housed at the Office of the Planning, Municipal Planning and Development Coordinator. And as I had mentioned before, it is continuously undertaking data captured in coordination with Land Management Bureau and Registry of Deeds. And yes, we have issues on boundaries. Do we resolve it? We just present them uh, what are the issues and using the map because boundaries are uh, used for elections, project itself, but as we found out, there are different kinds of maps. We have the maps being used in subdivision plans, the tax maps, the NAMBRIA maps or the government maps, and we have also the maps that being used in the barangay itself that are not quite they don't have any skill with them. So when you match them together, including the cadastre itself, you can see that there are different boundaries in it. So issues on that should be discussed in a committee. But it's much easier for us to provide the data, and they could easily provide decisions if you have the data itself. And lastly, we have the preparation of various kinds of maps from vicinity, um, land use map, climate change map, hazard map, and also our CLUP and CDP, including also the tax map that's being used in going towards in identifying the maps in the field. So matching the subdivision plan that has we have gathered from the Land Management Bureau. So the map itself is used for various aspect of management and planning. So what are the implementation or the GS implementation in every locality? Yes, it is a long-term undertaking because the life of the project itself will be based on the data captured or the database that you're going to do in the next few years. If you don't want to have it long term, all you have to do is create a area in a certain unit or in a certain department that do the encoding. As of now, there are a lot of aspect in providing the database or other consultants they can provide you with a database itself, so there's no need for you to encode it. In this project also, you should have the support of the local leaders because um, the system itself uh, is not that expensive, but the expensive one is how to capture the data itself, put it in the system, and use it. So particularly, you need leaders that are development oriented, that the data itself can be used on other matters, not only in planning, but also on other matters like on matters of election, the location, on matters on disaster, which is one of the things that you need. And also this project is being used also in identifying COVID areas, those areas that uh, provide you information for the local leaders to make a sound decision. Mostly the bottleneck is in the data captured and the availability. So you should use data that came from a reliable source. Mostly when you input it in the system itself, the public wants to know where are the sources is. So you have to be explicit on it and be able to identify which area where they came from. So, on matters of decision and providing good information, we have to provide disclaimer. So this project is used only for references for planning, but not on court decisions. Okay, so that's it. Any question that you may would like to ask, we'll see you in the question and answer in the open forum. Maraming salamat po.
Maraming salamat po, Miss Elsa, sa inyong presentation. So ngayon po nalaman ko po na ang kahalagahan po talaga ng GIS, hindi lang po siya para sa paggawa ng mapa. So dito po ma-identify po natin yung hazard, taxation, land use at maging yung traffic. So maganda pong isipin na ang bawat pong lugar, bawat munisipalidad ay merong isang taong tulad ni Miss Elsa na gagawa po ng planning para po sa ating mga syudad, mga mamamayan. So sa ngayon po, maraming salamat po sa inyo pong ginagawa at ipagpatuloy niyo po. At tulad po sabi niyo, ma'am, sana po mai-transfer niyo po sa next generation ang inyong magandang gawain. And with those words, maraming salamat po sa ating mga attendees, sa mga panelists. At muli po tayo makita-kita next week. At maraming salamat po sa pagsama sa amin sa aming 100 episode. Bye for now.
Thank you po.